Do you love this podcast? Do you wish you could learn even more? Well, we have an online class bundle. Our online class bundle is comprised of 3 online classes: beautifying your home for less, styling your home, and the fundamentals of feng shui. Each one of those 3 classes is between 30 and 45 minutes long and chock filled with visuals and tips, things that will help you to style your own space or help out with other spaces. Additionally, with the pack of 3 classes, you get an autographed copy of my book, Affordable Interior Design. You get all of that for only $99. Once again, that's the 3 online classes as well as the book for only $99. You just go to affordableinteriordesign.com/classes. Once again, affordableinteriordesign.com/classes to buy your bundle today. And if one of those classes sounded intriguing, but maybe you already have my book or some of the other topics are not of interest, you can buy the classes individually at that site as well. Each class is $40. So head over to affordableinteriordesign.com/classes to get your bundle or your online class today.
You don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
Hello there. What a beautiful summer day. I am in my element. Bring on the heat, bring on a little humidity, take me to the beach. I am trying to live my best life. With a baby, those beach days have been few and far between. In other words, I have yet to actually put my toes in the sand. But lots of excitement, lots of feeling close to getting there. I hope wherever you are enjoying this summer, you're having a blast. I actually went with my son and my baby daughter and myself to the Chesapeake Bay 2 weeks ago, and we had such a good time. I haven't spent much time in Maryland, but this little hidden gem in this tiny town right on the water was so tranquil, so special. And I, of course, love that it was affordable because so many resorts and places you go to this time of year are just crazy expensive. I remember we went to the Cape last year and we spent so much on a subpar resort where, it felt like the mattress had a big sinkhole in the middle. I've slept in hotels, motels, cinder block places on Route 66. I mean, you name it, I have tried to save on lodging and spent the night in some dodgy spots. But this mattress was the worst I have ever experienced in my entire life. I should have just slept on the floor, but I kept thinking, if we sleep this way or that way. And then finally, my husband and I realized it was a little bit better if we slept with our heads at the foot of the bed. Anyway, it was like that. And we paid a pretty penny for this horrible night's sleep each night. Well, anyway, just to say, this resort in Maryland was so beautiful, and it was in this tiny town called Cambridge. And, it gets hot in the South. I'm from Missouri, and that heat, that humidity is like nothing we experience up north. We call it hot. People say it's humid, and I'm like, no, it's not. But I haven't experienced that type of heat and humidity in a while. So being down there, there was also just at the same time, coincidentally, a major heat wave. Basically, we could not go outside until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I had to find us activities to do in this small town that would please my 13-year-old, that would keep my baby, somewhat happy. And it was not easy. But luckily, this town was the birthplace of Harriet Tubman. And it was so interesting to be staying in this rural area and to go visit her museum, but then see where she was born. And on the plaque outside of the location where she was born, it says, "This area has not changed much in 200 years." And you look around and there's these farmhouses with these slave quarters in the back, and it's marshy and swampy, and you can really visualize what it may have been like for Harriet Tubman to try to escape through these treacherous conditions and to kind of know the area. There was a general store that she had shopped at that was just down the road from her house. And there was like the first Black schoolhouse in this area to teach Black children after they were liberated. And the Civil War was over. It was just so rich with history that we would spend our daytimes in these museums or in these historic places, oftentimes that were unmanned. Like you'd look on Google and it would say this place is going to be open. You'd drive there and they'd have the big "We're open" flag out, but there would be nobody actually there. Nobody working there, nobody stopping by there. So we really had the places to ourselves. We were exploring these schoolhouses, and you could open the old books. They had slave quarters that still had the artifacts and the furniture. And it was just so interesting, like these little tiny 600 square foot max, probably much less than that, little structures out back that looked like a shed, like maybe a glorified shed. But when you actually went inside, the ceilings were so low that they had made a second story and were fitting like 12 people in here. And it was just so fascinating, so steeped in history. And then, of course, some days we went bowling and the bowling alley was empty. I mean, it was just such a special trip and so fun to spend a large amount of time. We were there for 5 days, 4 nights, something like that, in this small town. Whereas normally we try and do lots of different things. We just kind of stayed within our 10-mile circumference, but just went really deep and saw all sorts of things that were historic. And I live in Connecticut, so I value history. I'm surrounded by it every day, but this just felt so different, so unique. The architecture was so intriguing that it really inspired me in very unexpected ways. I had thought we'd just go to the hotel, lay on the beach, and, have a pina colada. And instead, we were doing this whole other thing and having such a good time. And then by 4 o'clock, I'd get to the pool with my pina colada. By 7 o'clock, it would actually be cool enough to get in the water. So it was a different kind of trip, but so inspiring and so special. So Chesapeake Bay, that's a place. I think we'll be going back because there were all these little surrounding towns that I wanted to explore, but we found so much to do in this tiny town of Cambridge, Maryland, that we didn't even get a chance to cross everything off our list. Well, I hope that you're finding some fascinating adventures. I hope you're finding something affordable to do because these beach towns are no joke. But I'm glad to be back on the microphone. I'm glad to be back talking to you and, of course, answering your questions. So let me dig in without further ado because my first question has come from Brandy. And Brandy writes, "Hi, Betsy. I have another question for my house in Colorado Springs, Colorado." Brandy, I am so happy to answer it. Thanks for sending in your questions. Guys, if you have questions, if you're like, I can't send another one in, I sent one in last week, or a couple months ago, I sent one in, know that you can still. There's not a limit. If you have questions, I hopefully have answers or at least resources for you. So go to affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. Once again, affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. And I will answer your burning questions and help you solve your design dilemmas one by one by one. Now, as for Brandy, she's writing, "What do you do with a weirdly tall and narrow entryway? The opening goes up both stories of my house. My husband demands that he has a place to sit and put on his shoes, and my 18-month-old son likes to sit next to him on the bench. I thought maybe we could do a big bookshelf and nix the bench, or a good-sized entry table that can actually fit next to the bench. It's just so weirdly huge. I also have a big textile from my honeymoon that I've been meaning to frame. So maybe just use that just to help the space along. We used to have a mirror hanging above the bench, but it was too boho for my taste and we got rid of it. And now I'm in search of a new one. As always, I'd love to see what you think, Brandy." Now, Brandy, you sending in your picture was very illuminating. Let me describe it for those listening. It is a very long entryway. I would say it's at least 25 feet long and it's only 4 feet wide. Now, on one side, the wall is a partial wall that kind of goes up part of the stairs, and I would say that's about 8 feet high. But on the other side, the opposite wall probably goes up, 18 to 20 feet high. And it's just this big swath of white wall. So you walk into the space and you're in this sort of narrow, but very high entryway. And it's awkward. It is awkward. This is certainly conundrum. I don't blame you for writing in because I feel a little stumped by this awkward space. Now, there's several things you could think about. The tapestry, the bookshelf, all these things, which we will get into. But the number one thing you want to think about, if this is truly your primary entryway where you're coming in, day out with book bags, shoes, purses, keys, the number one thing is that this space needs to be functional. And it needs to serve the purpose that, an entryway is supposed to serve, which is collecting that clutter, helping to corral it. Where do we put our mail? Where do we put these things when we first come in the house so that it doesn't look messy, so that it doesn't get cluttery? And right now, this entryway is just not doing its job. What I see in this entryway is that it's very hard to make use of the surface area because there's so little of it. Certainly there's height, but we can't hang our keys or put our shoes 10 feet above where we're standing. We really need to make use of that 4 feet width at a place where we could sit, do things like this. So we need to make it functional without adding too many elements because even if it helps to wrangle the clutter by having multiple pieces of furniture, sometimes having so many different pieces in this small space can make it look visually cluttered, even if the shoes and mail are organized. So we have to be very strategic. And now it's time for a quick commercial break. Summertime is a time to put down your books, to relax and stop learning and lay by the pool. Am I right? No, summer is the perfect time to learn something you're passionate about. If you love interior design, and I have a feeling you do based on the fact that you're listening to this podcast, then you are going to love my newest promotion. I am giving 50% off my value pack of online classes with a copy of my book, Affordable Interior Design. Those online classes cover everything from styling your home, selecting artwork, choosing paint, to feng shui, buying furniture, furniture placement, and so much more. Additionally, you get 6 months access to the classes so you can watch them over and over again and use my book as a reference point. So that way you can flip to it whenever you want to brush up your design skills. Additionally, I will autograph it for you. All of this is typically $99. But when you head over to affordableinteriordesign.com/classes, once again, that's affordableinteriordesign.com/classes, choose the value pack and type in the promo code SUMMER, SUMMER, summer. You're going to get 50% off, making your total $49 for everything I just described, the 3 online classes and an autographed copy of my book. This is a limited time promotion, so run, don't walk to the website affordableinteriordesign.com/classes to get your value pack for 50% off today. Use promo code SUMMER and I will be sharing my tips with you and so much more all summer long. If there's a mudroom that you usually come in, if there's a garage access where you're usually entering the home, I would just make this display for those guests, add some wow factor, and really do things that serve visually without adding too much function because function is not needed all that often in those scenarios. However, it appears to me, and based on your description, it sounds to me like this is the place you guys come in all the time. And if that is truly the case, we need to make it very functional. Your son and your husband like a place to sit. And for an 18-month-old, and as a 45-year-old, I also like a place to sit to take off those shoes. So I think that that could be very helpful. Now, they do make those shoe benches, right? That are a long bench that has shoe storage underneath. And then that would be one piece, right? A place to sit and a place to store the shoes. Now, my question is, why are we in need of the console? Is it for mail? Is it for keys? Because, you know, when you open the door, the first inclination is to go to the wall opposite the door, right? Because that's the wall that you see when you walk in. It's easy to access. You don't have to fully shut the door in order to go to the other wall. So I'm thinking that the bench is on the wall that has the lower part due to the stairway, right? Not the high wall. So I could see that long, low shoe bench there. And maybe a basket on top of the long, low shoe bunch to capture the keys and the mail, or some kind of higher sided tray, which essentially could be a basket. Then on the opposite wall, you do need something. It looks like a big white void. Now, I'm open to that tapestry you discussed, even though I'm not sure how big it is, because this wall is gigantic, 20 feet long, 20 feet high. I mean, this is a big nut to crack. So if the tapestry is quite large, as you describe, I would hang it without framing it. You mentioned framing the fabric piece, but that is going to be so expensive. And that's the thing I love about a tapestry or piece of fabric is that you can typically hang it in a super affordable way, whether it's a rod at the top or loops at the top that then thread onto a bar. There's a lot of options. And then I would do a runner on the floor. A runner on the floor is not only going to capture dirt and moisture and things from shoes, but also it will help draw our eye down and help with just this vast expanse of brown on the floor with the wood and add some color and liveliness to this space. So I would definitely do that long, low shoe bench with the storage basket. Definitely do the runner rug. And then, like I said, you've still got the problem of this long wall. If you decide not to do the fabric tapestry, even though that one's really calling to me, even without knowing the size of it, the other option is you could do a gallery wall. Now, we don't have to emphasize this enormous height, right? Because when you're hanging art, you still want to hang it at eye level. But a gallery wall, whether it's 2 rows of 5 pieces or something like that, could help to add visual interest, take your eye down the hallway, fill this wall in a nice way. Um, my mind is also thinking there's other options like an accent wall or even wallpaper or even some decorative molding that goes all the way up, which is really all the rage right now in these super vaulted entryways. But I'm just not resolved on the cost of that in terms of a visual solution that's compelling. The other thing you may want to think about when I'm really stuck, I look for other people who've solved this problem. So I will go to Google and put narrow vaulted entryway and see what other people have done. Because I think there will be, of course, the solutions I shared with you, but even more ideas. And some like that molding, there's lots of different ways you can lay out the molding to make it visually interesting, but all of them come at kind of a hefty price. So you want to think to yourself, how long am I going to be in this space, right? Is this my forever home? Is this something that's worth a really big investment in terms of getting a carpenter involved and things like that? Lots of different things to do here, Brandy, but go ahead and start with the shoe bench and the runner rug and then solve that very high wall after, would be my opinion. Now, keep us posted. Let us know what you do because I always love to see how things turn out. My next question, let's see here. It comes from Megan. Megan is writing from Wichita, Kansas, and she writes, Betsy, I started my own interior decorating company 2 years ago, but I have no formal training. Because my expertise of decorating and styling only goes so far, I partnered with a local interior design firm owned by an architect and interior designer. So where I leave off, she can pick up. But now I would like to expand my offerings. There are so many different computer program options from CAD, Chief Architect, SketchUp, etc. I would like advice on which one is best to put in the time and money to learn. All right. So this is very exciting. Congratulations, Megan. Now, I'm really glad that you're choosing to kind of go off and do your own thing in a more robust way. People have heard me say time and time again that I don't feel like formal interior design education is always the solution for everyone. If you want to do high end design where you are building furniture from scratch, where everything is custom, I do think a more traditional schooling can be a great route. Even though there's lots of things that they don't teach. They don't teach you how to deal with clients, how to find clients. The business aspects, I think, are severely lacking in that formal interior design education. And then, of course, there's online curriculums, right? But the problem with most online programs is that they are not going to teach you a software. You'll have to take a separate course to learn software. And it's so helpful to learn interior design principles while you're using the software. So you can be working on projects that you would actually work on for clients, learning concepts that are not only spatially related, but also software related at the same time. And there's just not good curriculums out there, in my opinion, that teach those at the same time. Now, of course, that's why I created the Academy. So I would highly recommend that you look at the Uploft Interior Design Academy. You can just go to uploftinteriordesignacademy.com to read more about that, because not only do we teach you business aspects to be an interior designer, but then we have 10 modules focusing on deep learning, exactly what you need to know to start taking paying clients with confidence. And in those 10 modules are software programs that we are teaching alongside the design modules, right? So that way you can be implementing these things that you're learning and translate it immediately to paying clients. My favorite software, the software that we teach step by step in the academy, is Icovia. So Icovia is a floor planning software that is affordable, very easy to use, and accurate. It's also widely used in the interior design world, and it is much more user-friendly than CAD, Chief Architect, or SketchUp. Now, if you're going to be regularly sharing files with an architect, if you're going to be doing a lot of renovations, you'll want to learn something like SketchUp, right? But if you are mostly laying out furniture, artwork, rugs in a room, and if you only need to sometimes share those files with an architect versus working on them jointly, Icovia could be a wonderful, affordable option for you. Now, if you're saying to yourself, Betsy, I don't want to enroll in the whole academy program. I'm already feeling super confident in my skills. I'm already feeling really well versed in the principles of interior design. I do have a specific Pro Tools class that only teaches mood board software and floor plan software, and step by step gives you the information you need to use to start working proficiently with Icovia and design files. And design files does not just do mood boards, it also has a floor planning element to its software, but we don't currently like it or feel that it's as good as Icovia. So currently at my firm, we still use the two separate software programs, design files for mood boards and Icovia for floor plans, because we feel like there's not an all-in-one solution at this time. All right. So I hope that gave you lots to chew on, Megan, but we have resources right here under the Uploft Interior Design umbrella that can help you if you get stuck. Otherwise, dig in, explore Icovia on your own. I think they do have like a free trial and you can kind of play with it. But I also love that not only is it easy to use, it's also pretty cute. When you start using CAD and you're just moving around squares and rectangles and very rudimentary furniture pieces, it can get a little boring. And what I love about Icovia is they have all these fun things you can add in, like pets and toys and lots of different elements from every type of fitness equipment you can imagine to game room things like mahjong tables and just all sorts of fun things. So it almost feels like I'm a kid again playing with a sticker book rather than doing something so technical and dry. Guys, look at this. We got through so much today. I'm sure you have burning questions, and all you have to do is send them in to affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. Until next time, everyone. Bye. A big thank you to our amazing producer, Catherine Heller, to Aton and the MVCR House Band, and to Affordable Interior Design, the sponsor of this podcast and the premier place to get an amazing look on a budget. Check out affordableinteriordesign.com. If you guys love the show, the very best way to support us is by spreading the word. Tell your friends or write us an awesome review on iTunes. So until next week, guys, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.